Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Time for a second series of the day here for the ESL One SEA qualifiers. I believe Hades is actually doing the other game that's happening simultaneously over on ESL Join Dota Blue because, well, the Chinese admins haven't showed up, so they can't actually give him access to the lobbies that he's supposed to be casting. It is what it is, right? But yeah, Dota here, Dota there, that's all that really matters. Hanoi Geniuses versus 496 Vikings. End up, as it went up naming them now, even though they've had like other names elsewhere. There's been like 496 Production for some reason and 496 Gaming on other sites, but yeah, we're just gonna call them the Vikings because that's easier than just calling them by their number. My name is Dragon Job, joined by Roger Dodger. Both of these teams actually from the same country, both of them from Vietnam, so one of them will certainly be able to represent the country going forward here.
Yeah, they're powering through the draft right now. The banning phase is always instant. We've got a Ricky Maru ban and a Void ban, both of which very strange. Even Tinker banned this early in the game, so it must be some internal meta going on between these two teams.
I would stand to reason that these two teams, like, maybe they're scrimming against each other here, but I mean, if they're always playing all these regional qualifiers or these national qualifiers even, some tournaments, like for WESG, you have much smaller groups of countries to put together. Stands to reason that they would know each other, right? And these kind of bans are an indicator of that. So Rubik Clockwork, kind of like that opening, right? Rubik very strong these days.
Yeah, first pick Rubik is very
yeah,
out there because I mean, you don't know what they actually have yet. So it's kind of like a deny pick in a way, where you say, well, you can't play like all of these heroes now that Rubik's good against. Sort of like first picking Nyx as well. So Hanoi Geniuses might just know that those are the kind of heroes that Vikings like to play, and they're going to cut it out right from the start.
Also, like if you want to pick a Clockwork, I think it's also helpful to also already have the Rubik, because also that's one of the classic counters or soft counters to Clockwork, just being able to pluck him out with no cast time.
So yeah, you could be right. It could be the Clockwork. It's more focused on the wanting to play Clockwork, but Rubik's an issue, so they pick Rubik first.
Alright, so
the answer that they picked to Rubik is Sanking Viper, and if you play Viper against Rubik, it kind of goes both ways, in that Rubik doesn't have any damage or particularly strong disable, but at the same time Viper is low mobility, so getting put out of position, for example, ganking mid with Rubik on a Viper could be pretty strong, depending on if Viper's at the point where he's going to die.
One of the cool things with the new Nether Toxin is, if you generally should have an easy time stealing that on Rubik, and you can just turn it around on a Viper and just disable the corrosive skin, making it so much easier to actually kill him.
Nether Toxin actually one of the best spells to steal in the game, almost. The massive amounts of magic resistance reduction it does, combined with no field, and you having lift to kind of hold someone in place. If you have any nukes on top of that, you like do something 600, 700 pure damage burst on top of disabling somebody, any kind of follow-up, just going to kill anybody. And Viper can't do anything about you stealing it either.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, they steal that or the ultimate essentially, but yeah, you spam Nether Toxin much more. You need to spam it, it's your farming tool. And it's one of the reasons Viper is so much stronger these days.
Why are Vikings picking Viper into the Rubik?
Exactly, right? Maybe they don't care, maybe they just feel confident enough that they can just kill Rubik before I can really make use of these kind of plays. But
because it does go both ways to some degree. If the Rubik's not actually online yet, the Viper's just going to power through and the Rubik's going to have no effect on him.
Like if Viper has time to just right-click the Rubik, then it's going to die very fast. It's going to come down to how they play against each other and how these other heroes also factor in, like Sanking. We see that hero being that can he has the potential to be very, very strong if he just stays alive in team fights and just keeps burst striking throughout the entire time, not to mention the initiation potential if you have your Blink Dagger. And you might also have that coming out from the Shadow Shaman now, so extra lockdown, extra pushing power as well that they've been lacking so far.
5 seconds remaining.
As well, because if I'm playing Shadow Shaman, I don't want to play against Clockwork or Rubik really. Rubik's stealing my spells. Shadow Shaman is one of the strongest set of spells in the game. They just have kind of low cast ranges or weird cast points. And Rubik doesn't really have to care too much about those. And Clockwork as well is gonna easily interrupt any kind of shackle opportunity. And then followed this up with a silencer pick, which potentially is a silencer core.
10 seconds remaining.
Could be. Wouldn't hate that too much.
5 seconds
Like, if you
remaining.
have enough to protect him, to make sure that he can actually stay alive in these fights, start stacking up the intelligence, you can turn into a really, really strong right clicker very fast, especially with that, I think level 15 talent. So he gets always steal 4 intelligence rather than.
Team pick.
But
I don't
lifesteal
think
are pretty good against him
really
though.
gets
Dire
Viper
team
is
back.
particularly strong. So it's more likely that they're doing Clockwork off lane, Silencer 5, Rubik 4. Rubik and Silencer roaming together quite strong. You
Now
can just bounce between lanes, chucking up those +2s. And I mean, a Meepo pick when you don't have a last pick
10 seconds
is
remaining.
pretty insane. But at the same time, they've already
5
picked their
seconds
lifesteal and Viper,
remaining.
so Sven is off the table. They've got one AoE
Radiant
stun.
team ban.
yeah,
To what degree can
Meepos.
they actually deal with the Meepo at this point?
Exactly, it's always one of these things where, alright, like we don't know these teams, or at least I don't really know these teams, so I don't know if there's like
Radiant
Meepo
team
savants hiding until we actually
Oh,
see
there's
this
Meepo
pick,
savants
because you don't
all
pick
over
the
the
hero
second
if you,
stage,
Dire
yeah,
team pick.
you don't really pick the hero if you can't really play him very well. But if you can, then
Yeah.
you can just take over.
They also they were going into that plan for the start with the silencer pick. I think Meepo wanting pretty badly to have a silencer just basically allows the Meepo to do whatever he wants, and the silencer
10
is always there
seconds
to back him up, and also just really put the ground and pound in. When the Meepo jumps in,
5
there's no
seconds
counterplay
remaining.
available. Meepo's free to kill anybody without caution whatsoever.
You may now select your
Darkseer, bit of extra AoE control, so you get the vacuum into the Sand King Burst Strike. Top of the Nether
I think the main
Toxin
thing is
and
he's seeing
Epicenter, yeah, this
3 melee cores on the enemy team, so the Darkseer is going to have a really
Yeah.
good lane no matter what they send
Yeah.
against him. And if you have Iron Shell on Lifestealer, Iron Shell on your Darkseer, you kind of tank up against the Meepo. It's a little bit loose in the sense that you've just picked an offlaner who doesn't actually represent an AoE stun, which is what Meepo is concerned with. But it does have play to it as well.
And you still have this Wombo combo.
Yeah, Sand King just Darkseer.
So the thing is, you don't have too much on these other heroes, right? I mean, it's basically boils down to Nether Toxin as in terms of other AoE that they have. I guess Shadow Shaman with the Ether Shock kind of counts as well, but yeah, it's not like the most flashy thing. So the only combo that they have in that sense is that Sand King. So that can mean that it maybe falls short because you don't have both of these heroes at the right position at the same time all the time.
Yeah, Nether Toxin disabling Meepo's passive is actually quite significant.
Prepare for battle.
He's trying to chase people down with the Geostrike, but if it's disabled, you can just walk away from him if he's missed his nets.
Yep. Okay, let's see how it works out. With the DK last pick here, that is gonna be a safe lane Meepo. You'll have to deal with the Darkseer somehow.
Well, what Meepo will do in this lane is once he's level 3, he's just going to aggressively poof the creeps. So the Darkseer's Iron Shells is just going to be wasted, more or less.
Already smack talking each other? I don't know what that means. Maybe some in-jokes. But at the same time, you have a bit of smoke up from 4 heroes on the other side. Dire wrapping all the way around. The burst strike is available. They do find it on Dragon Knight. Follow-up slows there with the Viper, but of course, poison tackling cooldown for a little while longer. They still find enough for the shackles. Especially with the Clockwork actually kind of locking the DK away on the wrong side of the cogs. Maybe not what they were looking for. So first blood going the way of 496, the Vikings. Yeah, on the Dire side, and
DK reacting to that smoke popping a little bit slowly.
The battle begins.
He's just like, oh, that's Sand King.
what is he doing here? Like,
yeah. Upside is he gets the block.
Also hasn't put a point up into anything just yet, so you can still go for the Breathe Fire just to try and harass a little bit before you have to worry about the Corrosive skin. I mean, it's a Dragon Knight, right? We all know what should be happening. He's not necessarily going to win this lane. But he's also not going to be losing it either. And not too hard anyway, even up against the Viper.
Yeah, every Dragon Knight lane pretty much goes the same. He farms, the other guy farms.
That's actually the first point up in last words. Trying to defend Darkseer a little bit.
You see Shadow Shaman playing top. Shackle's level 1, obviously, to get the kill on the Dragon Knight, but he has no clarities, and Shackles costs a lot of mana, so he can only cast one more Shackle on his Clockwork, and then he's out of mana. It's going to be hard for him to actually zone the Clockwork out. Lifestealer has picked up a stick, and picking up a stick against Clockwork any melee hero is pretty important, especially Lifestealer, so that you don't get oomed.
Yep.
If you don't have a stick against Clockwork as Lifestealer, it will just constantly burn your mana, and then once you're out of mana, you can cog you. Battery Assault.
Yeah, cog you, Battery Assault, run you down without rage. Just,
yeah.
Also one thing here is, as soon as Clockwork hit level 2, Magic has to be very, very careful. Sure, you can right click quite hard, but you don't have the biggest range. Meanwhile mid though, Clift up on the Sanking. No follow up. Sure what they were thinking was gonna happen with that. But yeah, I mean, putting in some damage now. Clockwork with a TP to the tower, still has stealth to work with, so he'll be absolutely fine. But yeah, if Magic is not careful, he walks up for a couple of right clicks. Clockwork just turns on the Battery Assault and starts running him down.
He's actually had quite a few windows already. Clockwork sort of playing a bit too passively in this lane for my liking.
Shadow now level 3, so maybe that's what he was waiting for, to make things a little bit easier.
Maybe.
More reliable. Intem down bottom. Just dual lane here with the Sanking also sitting around. Still only level 1.
He's let the Darkseer get level 3 first, which is pretty critical for the Darkseer, and then he shows up and he's representing a very strong threat. If he has a shell on himself, Meepo might just be in trouble, but...
Surge forward, yeah, that's taking a lot of damage here, but it's also taking tower shots, nice jukes and jives, and well, another burst strike will secure the kill, but at what cost? Silencer's there, taking over, is gonna get the 1 kill with the last word, so gonna get the +2, and they're also trying to run down the Darkseer at the same time. And he's a little bit too far away.
And I think a Soul Ring coming on the career, so he's gonna be pretty happy in this lane now.
Did you notice, like, we were talking about their names earlier in the lobby, and I believe this guy's name is Red, but the D doesn't even render in game, which is really, really odd.
Doesn't it? That's rendering for me.
I don't know, I see the R, then I see weird other character. Vaguely resembles him, or perhaps even E with like an extra dash. I don't see the D at all.
More exotic fonts, if your system doesn't have a font installed that renders that particular glyph, and it'll just appear as some squares.
Oh well. Names in Dota a little bit weird sometimes. But yeah, anyway, I missed the kill in mid up on a DK. Maybe we should be focusing on that instead. But not the easiest target to bring down actually.
With the Nether Toxin, it takes quite a bit of damage. And because the cooldown on the spell is so low, you can kind of just dump it in the lane on the creeps, and the DK is kind of put in this position where you can't hit the creeps without taking serious harass and losing his regen.
I don't think so on a Clockwork. He was turning on a better soul, trying to run down Magical, but Sanking shows up from high ground. The burst strike. So 3-on-1 is not going to win that. Not going to be winning that one. That's a good point with Nether Toxin. I mean, most often you see Vipers just skip that entirely until you have to put points into it, but in this kind of lane, having that early value point is actually super useful.
Yeah, it's a pretty good spell. I mean, I don't know about the current thinking about building hero, but I've seen a lot of people max Nether Toxin first just to use it as a farming spell as well. Its mana efficiency for farming neutral camps quite high.
I know, every Viper I've seen is just maxing up poison attack and cruel skin.
Well, points after the first in corrosive skin, half as good as the first one. So a lot of the time, just getting the value point is enough. And the 2-second cooldown on poison attack is also usually sufficient. So if you go like 3-1-1 and then 3-4-1, I think it's a pretty reasonable build.
Yep.
A lot of people even just leave poison attack at level 2. Thinking 4-second cooldown is also fine.
And it has 3-second duration,
depends.
so it's like only 1 second downtime. You're just
Yeah,
using it.
it really depends on the opponent you're against. So like if you're against the puck in the mid lane, and the puck's just going to be farming, like pushing the wave out with his nukes and not actually laning against you, then you need to go for the farming build, maxing out toxin. But if you're against a hero like DK or Shadow Fiend, where you can actually just totally take over the lane without using another toxin.
We're running down the
then
silence
that's
as well.
a
The
problem.
tower's starting to come through though.
Radiant's bottom tower is
We're watching bottom lane here because there was they did bring down the Meepo. Sansa does get the 1 kill, so an extra +2 at the very least. But Darkseer starting to be very strong. But at the same time, mid Clockwork making the red of wraparound even pre-level 6. It does isolate the Viper, but he's starting to fight. Throws on the ultimate onto Dragon Knight. Oh, on half health, starting to Sand King. Shackled up, couple extra right clicks. Darkseer also making rotation, surge up on Shadow Charm so you can get close. Extra right clicks as well as the Ether Shock, quickly vacuum. Didn't quite bring it down the Dragon Knight just yet though, instead. It is the Shadow Shaman who falls to the extra nukes.
Radiant's top
So
tower
+2
is under
intelligence. Good. Basically, I guess for top, Kira is still farming away, but also at the same time for the Meepo. Taking over the jungle now, which
Clockwork
means
just
that,
TP'd in top and then immediately getting run out by the lifestealer.
damn. Raid's expiring there, so he gets pushed back by the Cogs. Very close call there.
Now he looks like he's stuck in a position where he can't do anything else to walk back to base, but Dragon Knight wrapping in. Quick fingers on the rage there.
That's the one cool thing that I actually like about the Meepo though. Like, you know, that you can just run into the jungle very efficiently on other lanes here, which does mean that if you run him in safe lane, have that lane available here for the sports to catch up in levels, but at the same time they're still susceptible to
Yeah,
this
the lane
kind
is
of a movement.
extremely risky with the Darkseer sanking on. And Silas is going to TP in to die with him.
That's a bit too
Really
ambitious. He's trying to get that kill on a Darkseer, but it's not quite powerful enough to really make that happen just yet. Only 2 points up in the last word.
Yeah, and so Darkseer now have complete Arc Boots and Soul Ring of regen to back it up, so he's going to be able to power farm extremely aggressively. And if he's able to buy Crimson Guard, for example, the Meepo might just be completely neutered. Tank up the team.
So far still doing reasonably well in terms of last hits, as well as levels. We'll see whether they can keep that up, because that's really what it comes down to, just having that
Dragon
momentum.
Knight sharing back mid.
Viper still fighting, but he's kind of forced to fight with being caught inside the cogs, but he will fall. Shackles will be answered by the Barrier Assault Magical, being run down by Clock. Clock still has the Oakshot available, trying to secure the kill. Meanwhile, Sanking is diving way too deep for this DK, who he really can't kill. Now, slowed down, brought down as well. This is very scrappy here. I'm not sure what to make of that, to be quite honest.
Now, that's what I was saying about the Shadow Shaman pick earlier. Playing Shadow Shaman against Clockwork is extremely frustrating. Not just because the lane, you can't really contest him, but also you're never going to be able to shackle people in any kind of fight.
Yep.
You're always a target. It's hard for you to just play the game all because of one hero.
How much does it really matter? Because Darkseer is still doing very well. And so is the Lifestealer, sitting at the top of the net worth chart, 4.2k. With face boots completed, going into the armlet.
Yeah, and because Radiant have drafted a Meepo, they're kind of all in on this guy really being their big game. And is it gonna be? They've got the Darkseer Sanking as pretty good answers to it. And so far, Meepo's not farmed that aggressively. He's level 9, and most of the other heroes die 8 and 7.
Try again on mid. Viper making it as hard as possible, just spamming down this nether toxin. like make Dragonite think twice about actually standing in that to fight him, because he has 4 points up on Dragon's Blood, which is completely nullified if he's sitting in a Nether Toxin by the time. But yeah, they get the kill anyway. Burrows is getting a level 2, unable to protect him here too much against the Clockwork and breathe fire nukes and whatnot. In Clockwork, he also used the hook shot. Make that happen now.
Again, flashing the steal a bit. Might pay for it. Clockwork coming in, but he's pretty low on mana.
Dragons come through, should secure the kill here with extra couple of right clicks. Charge is not going to be enough, so they're still continuing this forward trajectory. He's going to have the armor completed here whenever he walks back to the side shot.
He has all of the parts in his backpack. Preferring to have a stout shield rather than a helm of iron wall. But we'll finish that off now.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
So, where does it leave us here, especially with this mid matchup? Because DK and Viper, they've kind of been exchanging back and forth. So, what is more significant? The Viper being kind of slowed down here with these constant kills, or the DK not getting much more? I'd say that though. Well, another fight breaks out. Meepo in the middle of that though, with a couple of extra proofs, looking for the sanking, but push out of the cogs, push out by the cogs, but the cog maker will be the first casualty in this particular fight. Magical, well, settling for his fate. Viper, search forward here. Now the global signs are trying to turn things around. Meepo starting to drop low on some of his heroes. Now stun up from the high ground. Dragonite cannot really continue though. No health to work with, and it's almost taken out to the Gross skin at this point. And gotta be very, very careful indeed. Still hanging around though, and will eventually fall. Not sure about this one. He went back into it.
I think he saw the enemies coming in from his shrine and decided he was going to run the other way.
Look for this Meepo, one of them super low, now the vacuum, dragging back in, search forward on lifesteal with the Iron Shell. Trying to juke and jive, but most heroes on the dice are still alive, but only just. The Hook coming through, Kara, he's stunned the Undertoggle though, healing up, and Wolf doesn't have the power to really get anyone else on the side. Another vacuum stolen for Rubik actually. I am so lost in these team fights.
I
don't see them like that for the most part, yeah.
The Darkseer is giving the shell to the lifestealer, giving the shell to himself, and they're just all running at them.
Yep.
Viper, Darkseer, lifestealer, and the Clockwork on the other hand, just nowhere near as strong as he is.
Well, maybe just Hanoi geniuses, or maybe overestimating themselves a little bit in terms of tankiness, in terms of just damage output, because going back into that, because they were all so freaking low, but they've barely been able to get the one kill.
Yeah, I mean, look at Clockwork. He's got 1500 gold in his inventory. He's an offlane hero, and all he's got is pointers and ones and competitors.
Well, Meepo, I mean, he's trying to make things happen, and he's still...
They're all in on him at this point,
yeah,
but Amiibo being behind in gold and experience to any carry spells pretty strong disaster.
Well, he's still ahead in terms of experience, but only just, and Meepo's a hero where you have the ability to farm extremely efficiently. You can surge ahead in terms of levels.
He's also bought a Yasha and is buying a Manta Style instead of a Blink Dagger.
What?
So he's not even really a threat to anybody. Yeah.
What is
like
that
the
for?
Lifestealer or the Viper? I cannot really say. There's nothing that he's even. There's no debuffs that you're even purging with Manta Style.
Even then, you'd only be purging them on the main Meepo. And the only value of that item is to just be confusing, I guess, and say, hey, go for these Meepos. Oh, just kidding, they're illusions, you don't actually kill me. That's the only thing that I can see.
I'd play some mind games on them, because the Dire team is pretty single target heavy. So if you bait, because if you see a Meepo illusion, you're not going to think that's an illusion, you're going to think that that's a clone, and that you can actually kill it. So they might invest a lot of resources into seeing a Meepo that ordinarily you might think, well, that's weirdly out of position, is that fake? But because it's a Meepo, you don't think that. So that seems like the only real strength of the Manta Style here.
Yep.
but all-inning on mind games is a little bit out there.
It's questionable, right? At the very least. So we'll see how it works out.
Very high risk and medium reward.
It's not like they are completely lacking AoE, right? They have the Iron Shells at this point maxed out. Still a decent amount of damage, and certainly helps you figure out who the real meepo is very easily until he gets more tanky items. Also transfer over to these divisions.
Yeah, he's got the ultimate orb now, so he's definitely committed to this meta style. Big smoke gank looking for this Viper, but the Rubik wasn't able to get the lift in time.
I'm not sure if you want to initiate on a Viper, especially with Darkseid sitting behind him with the Magnum completed, also looking also back in
He has
backpacks.
epicenter here. He might just go for the epi in the trees.
There it is. Well, still dying to that. Global Silence to set up for more here. They might actually get lifesteal on back on that, but not quite enough power, and they turns this around with the armor toggle, able to get that extra bit of damage towards the Clockwork. Just dies like he was made out of paper, and TY on the Dragon Knight. Not all that much more tanky either. At least it doesn't feel like that at all at this point.
Because you know there's no escape. The slows are just going to keep on coming. And it's even harder now to juke the Viper because the poison attack lasts 3 seconds instead of 2. So if you juke him for 2 seconds, you don't even get your speed back. You gotta wait a full 3 seconds.
Now, through the power of the Serpent Wards as well as the Catapult, we'll be able to bring down the tier 2 on top of that. So 496 Vikings here. They are also turning.
If the Meepo had a blink here, the Meepo could TP in that shrine and just clean these guys up.
Yeah.
But that option's not available to them.
Oh, Metastar, that's a bold strategy, Cotton. See if it works out for him.
Perhaps he can pivot into buying Blink Dagger now. Try and do something.
Yeah. I think this is even if the meatballs gets big, like even if he was like 4k ahead, I'm not even sure if that would be enough because all the other heroes are so far behind. I mean, even the DK, he's very effective, like with the those item efficiency in terms of stats, but what does it really do for them right now?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Meepo is still a very strong hero, even if you're tight on farm. It's just, instead of 1v5ing, you're at best kind of like 1v1 and win that.
Link shown off here, burst strike onto Rubik, but no immediate follow-ups now to lift back. Plans to turn things around, and yeah, Sanking will fall. Maybe it was a next level bait though. Kira coming through, a couple of extra right clicks with the Iron Shell on top, starting to do damage, but now it's running out of rage time. Going to try and burst on one of these meepos with the infest. They'll keep him safe, and the right clicks from the Viper are enough as he's taking over the front lines. And now looking for Dragon Knight. Global Silence finally coming through, or come back off cooldown even. But Kira, well, he wants more, he gets more, double kill. Dropping back out with that infest, and now the shackles onto the Clockwork. Trying to get magical. So the only casualty was the Sanking, who's just seemingly overextending. Going in there, blinking in all alone. They even got themselves the Dragon Knight illusions, so they can push with that.
Does that give the dot to the tower?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it looked alright because the Rubik had stolen Iron Shell. I was thinking we get 2 Iron Shells on both the Meepos, there's going to be some serious damage. But the lifesteal got out on like 50 HP infested. And the Darkseer is just overwhelming tankiness for the whole team, stopping the Meepo from actually being able to do anything. And he's not getting a Blink Dagger, he's getting an E-Blade now.
Oh.
He's committed to the brawl. He wants those agi items.
Is he just relying on the Clockwork to initiate? But be able to just control up these fights, I guess. He does have the 4 stuff now, so it makes things a little bit easier and safer for him, I guess. But overall,
it's
Vikings
surrendering all of the initiative to the other team, and if you're behind, giving them the initiative is not going to end well for you.
Yeah. They're getting to this point. I mean, they have the Blink Dagger on Sanking, had it for a while. Darkseer going for the 4 stars, no Blink set up for him. And but it's not ability regardless. Well, 28 is steal. Hookshot coming through, and he's not gonna get it. Viper was in the right position. So they still hold on to the Aegis.
It's an admirable effort though. I reckon that's... You send the clockwork in, but you don't actually want to contest that, because there's no way you can fight into them. The strength of your heroes and global on cooldown.
It's one of these plays that you have to make at this point, because you're falling further and further behind. 10k to 20-minute mark is not something to ignore. Now Leipzig invested in the Sanking. He did have the Indus Room picked up, so thanks for an easy kill on the Silencer, and now look for a Dragon Knight, but you just straight up TP's out, realizing no further interrupt.
I mean, the Meepo was nearby, but not nearby enough.
Not even if they're not afraid of the Meepo at this point. They're just continuing to keep this momentum up. They'll finish up the tier 2. The Rubik vacuum, I believe.
A Meepo with no blink dagger is just not scary.
Exactly. Hawkwick isn't all that scary either. He has no
He went to fight the Sanking.
Well, Global Silence comes through, good covering fire. Burst strike though, nah.
The answer is no.
Big charge mechanism, no way he killed Axia.
Maybe if he had bought the Ghost Scepter and had that 5 extra stats.
Maybe actually. It's not looking well for them. Not gonna lie.
He hasn't even been playing for the Manta style baits either.
So where does it leave us? Very strong Viper. Very strong Darkseer. Very strong Lifestealer.
It seems very hard for Radiant right now if the Meepo is really not committed not to buying a Blink Dagger, because all of their heroes are just pretty brawly, and when you're behind and you've got no real initiation, you can't brawl effectively. You can't split push. All you're doing is kind of waiting for the inevitable. There's no proactive plan available to you.
The Vikings, they're very confident, and that shows in a couple of different ways. For one, here they're going for this push right now with not really caring about our top lane being.
Well, this is the opening the Radiant could hope for. They're pushing a little bit too quickly.
The rewards as well as the Aegis, so well. They also find the Sanking inside. This could turn into something. The smoke will break, so they realize, hey, there's someone sitting around here with still Nanotoxicity, somewhat able to break out of that. The push will not turn into too much, but they might get the clockwork here very easily. Popping the Infest Bomb, holding onto it.
Yeah, he thinks that guy's gonna die anyway, which is probably correct. And the Meepo is showing top now. Shadow Charm is setting up, placing a ward even because it's nighttime. He knows there's a fake good reward.
Alright, so there's some extra time for Hanoi Genius. To do what? Like, what's the next step to try and recover here in this game? Keep farming up the Meepo, I guess?
Yeah, keep farming. Hope that you can dodge the initiation, because initiation is just Sanking. So, you know, pray that what's happening right now continues to happen. The Sanking's looking at kills for bottom, but Meepo's farming top. Keep good vision. Like, Hanoi got pretty good vision right now. They got one up in their jungle, one up in enemy jungle, so they can see most movement. Meepo kind of just getting a bit lucky here that he's not playing at all in the vision of Vikings, but how long that will last remains to be seen. I think the play that you have to go for here is if your Meepo player is super not committed to buying Blink Dagger, just hope that the Vikings decide to push your base and you can get a nice high ground defense fight.
Yeah.
But playing for your opponents to make mistakes is not where you want to be.
Especially with the kind of sustain that they're also building. So like Lifestealer, he also went for Manta style, which makes a lot more sense considering that he's up against the Silence. So we're gonna hold on to that.
They're smoking out now. They waited for the E-Blade up, but now they're deciding we're gonna take a fight.
Right.
And Lifestealer's tracking the Dragon Knight. He's hungry.
It's actually gonna break the smoke. The hook shot still comes out on the front, so Viper out. But at least it'll buy some time, but Burst Strike and Kira still clicking away, so they're gonna get both of these kills very easily without any sort of counter.
That was extremely uncoordinated. They smoked everybody, but then the Meepo kind of went back, and the Meepo wasn't in the smoke with his main Meepo, but some of his clothes were. And then they all got kind of disconnected. And Clockwork initiated, but the silencer didn't global.
Yeah, that was a miscommunication. I didn't expect the Lifesteal to come in from the back. Now BKB even forced out on Dragonite. They're a bit twitchy here as well, because Lifesteal was already turning around.
Yeah.
That's a cooldown now. The tower will fall here most likely, especially with Rage committed with attack speed, catapult, as well for wards flipping away. And Darkseer,
like, being very smart, playing around his Rage, not hitting buildings while his Rage is on cooldown.
Darkseer, he's just doing the front line. I mean, he's super tanky at this point. 33 armor, mechanisms, this guard and whatnot, and Clockwork. He brought down Global Suns to interrupt the shackles. Kira in the middle of that, but now has to start turning around. Has to invest into something, and with Force Out, he'll get that vacuum into the wall. A couple of units, most of them are Meepos, but now with the Burst Strike follow up, they'll be able to single out one of them. The hook shot actually missing to cancel that. So we'll bring down the big one. Meepo without a buyback, well, it might just be game, and it is indeed, as they call it. GG, well played. 496, the Vikings coming out swinging here in the special 3.
Yeah, we're pretty decisive. Definitely not sold on the Blinkless Meepo. Ultimately, the Lifestealer was matching the Meepo in farm the whole game, and that's exactly what you don't want to happen when you're running a Meepo.
Yep. Take a look at that here on the graphs. Lifestealer and Meepo even had more for pretty much the entire game.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very solid. Vikings just play their game, played their lanes quite well too. The Viper, they got picked up 2 times, but ever since then he's just been, still been that anchor in the middle of a team fight. They've been unable to really bring it down because the Meepo was all they had, but they were not able to leverage it.
Yeah, I didn't recall the Rubik stealing Nether Toxin once either. It's kind of surprising.
He has ones. Like some throw it out, trying to look for the sanking in bottom, but
yeah,
they haven't really been able to make good use of it. It's just up against the Viper. But yeah, game number 1, we'll see what happens in game number 2. The Hanoi team can come back, or whether the Vikings will make it a clean 2-0. Stay tuned.